Season 21 of Apex Legends started off so promising with the release of Alter, an amazing Broken Moon map update, and the long-awaited return of Solos. But now, 5 weeks into the new season, Apex has witnessed a massive decline in players, but what's the reason why and what does the future hold to revive this game? Let's dive right into it, and if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like down below as it helps me out more than you know. Just last week, during the first week of June, Apex Legends had its lowest player count since the end of 2021. Now this data is only for PC players on Steam, but it's really interesting to look at given the beginning of Season 21 in May had a solid performance but has since dropped off. To give you some more context about all of this, in May of 2023, Apex averaged 227,000 players in a day on Steam, where this year in May, Apex averaged only 167,000 players per day. Now that is a massive drop year over year, but what is causing this? Well, there's multiple things going on that I'm sure some of you have experienced. The biggest complaint that players continue to experience are the cheaters and hackers across the game. Now this isn't tied to just PC, but there have been a bunch of reports of players cheating on console as well, especially in Diamond and above lobbies for ranked. For example, take a look at this video. This is just one of many instances of cheaters continuing to infiltrate ranked games. Now it does appear that Respawn is quietly banning and removing cheaters from their game, but at the same time, it feels like more and more are popping up constantly, which isn't helping to combat the overall issue. I do have some ideas as to what Respawn could implement to fix the cheating issue, but first let's keep chatting about what else is causing the low player count. Another issue, believe it or not, is actually solos. Now I know a lot of players, including myself, were super happy to see solos return with the launch of Season 21, given that it hasn't been in the game since Season 2 back in 2019. But I don't think we were expecting solos to completely take over the duos playlist, which is causing some players to not want to play the game. I, for one, absolutely love duos, as it's just a fun way to play with one other friend and not have to really sweat that hard since there isn't a ranked version of it. And with solos essentially removing duos for the first 6 weeks of the season, the only way you can play with that one friend of yours is either in Mixtape, Trios, or Ranked, which all require one other person on your team to rely on, which we know how randoms can be in this game. Additionally, I truly think that people are now bored of solos, not just because of cheaters popping up, but maybe because players are realizing solos isn't as fun as it used to be given the amount of legends we have now and those that are objectively much stronger legends by themselves versus another legend. I mean, Horizon going up against most legends, but especially someone playing Lifeline or other support characters, really doesn't stand a chance most of the time. I truly think that Respawn implemented solos for 6 weeks into the game and as a duos playlist takeover rather than just a 2-week LTM so that they could gather data and determine the drop off of solos after the initial hype died. And they're honestly smart to do this because if it was just a 2-week event, I think the numbers would have been inflated, where now with it being 6 weeks, they can actually get a better read as to how it's performing and if they decide to add it permanently to the game or not. Or they could have had it in for 2 weeks and brought in another LTM, which leads me to the next issue in the game right now. No new events or LTMs have been released or even mentioned for Season 21. Sure, we did have Control as a limited time mode for a couple of weekends so far, but that is seriously one of the stupidest moves I've ever seen. It makes zero sense to me when Control is already in Mixtape. Why have dedicated weekends of a game mode that is still active in Mixtape when they could pick an LTM like third person mode or Armed and Dangerous instead? Or hell, even bring back duos for a limited time since solos is taking over that playlist. Just do something new or bring back a fan favorite such as Straight Shot. Not to mention the events in the shop have been pretty lame as well. I'm not one to go out and spend money on pixels in a video game, but plenty of people love that stuff, and this season just feels so lackluster. We haven't had a proper collection event yet, and only various store updates with a few new skins here and there, with a lot of them being locked behind bundles to acquire them. And it feels like the reason for this is because of the new exotic shards and Katar variants. But with the exotic shards, it just feels so odd that they haven't introduced anything else that can be purchased with these. I'm not the biggest fan of another new currency being added, but it's already here, so might as well add some more reactive skins to the exotic shop. And then there's the Katar. I personally find this to be one of the lamest heirlooms we have in the game, since there really is no meaning behind it. The animations are also pretty lackluster, and the only cool part is that you can customize it how you want after you spend all your exotic shards on it, but even then it has much less character and feeling to it compared to a legend specific heirloom. Honestly, the Buster Sword from the Final Fantasy event feels better than the Katar since it has some more hype and meaning to it being paired with the event and LTM during that time. Anyways, I could rant about all the issues within Apex, but let's move on to what needs to be done and what is coming next to help bring back some players to the game. The biggest thing that needs to be fixed is the cheating, which again, Respawn seems to be correcting slowly. But while they're working on that, I think a solution to make things a little bit better would be first to increase the minimum account level to play ranked. Right now, it's only level 20, which Respawn implemented back in Season 20. It used to be level 50, but with it being level 20 now, it makes it so much easier for cheaters to hit that on a new account. I truly think that they could increase this level requirement either back to at least 50, or maybe even increase it up to something like level 100. This would definitely help combat combat some of the cheaters and likely deter some away from wanting to first reach that level to then play ranked. Additionally, there just needs to be stronger measures in place when it comes to cheaters. Maybe something like a 3-strike system before your IP address and hardware gets banned permanently from the game and all other EA games. Now, this would require Respawn and EA to make sure their stuff is working perfectly, because it would be bad if the system wrongly permabanned someone that wasn't actually cheating. But I do think this would help deter players from infesting ranked games to cheat. Cheaters do feel like the biggest issue right now in the game, but there's other things Respawn could do to bring back players. They need to finally implement rotating LTMs into a dedicated playlist. Now, this has been said many times before me, but it feels more relevant than ever. We've had over 30 LTMs over the course of Apex's life, and adding in some variety into the game feels really necessary. I also think allowing solos, duos, and trios to exist permanently so players can choose what they want to play when they want to play. But there might be some issues if they do that with wait times. Well, I think a solid solution is implementing true crossplay between PC and console lobbies, given that 100 FPS now exists on console. I also think that Arenas needs to make a return, whether something like Solos, where it's here for a limited time, or make it part of Mixtape permanently. The good news is that Respawn is working on an iteration of Arenas to return in the future. We just don't have a release date yet. Another thing that is apparently coming back to Apex is Legend-specific heirlooms, but it seems like only one will release per year going forward, given the hype and success of universal heirlooms. There are many things that Respawn could be doing to make Apex less dry. It just feels increasingly boring and frustrating right now given the cheaters and lack of events. But let me know down below what you think Apex should do to boost player count. Have you been playing Apex less in recent weeks? Let me know and consider subscribing for more Apex content. I'll catch you guys on the next one.